Hello and welcome to the back roads. We are here today at LUDEN Automotive and we're going to be doing a main service on my BMW E46 325 Ci Msport. Big name for a very iconic car. Now it's just hit 100,000 miles, so it's time for its first, well, in my ownership at least, its first major service. And normally you could take this to a BMW dealership to do, or any of your main mechanics nearby, but we are going to attempt to do it ourselves. So today we've got spark plugs, oil filter, oil change, air filters. I think that's it. Oh, and a cabin filter. Remember that one as well. So let's get to work. Okay, so today we've got a plethora of products that we're going to be using on the E46. We've got some man filters, basic. You can get some very good ones for the E46, but honestly, because this is my daily car, there's no real need for anything absolutely spectacular performance-wise. Got some castor oil, I think about 10 litres worth if my memory serves me correct, so we've got more than enough to be able to do an oil service. We've got a Bosch cabin air filter and NGK spark plug. So all in all, today should be a fun video because servicing isn't actually too bad to do on these. So hopefully this should be another one that we actually get right for a change.
As mentioned previously, generally you should be using 5W30 Castrol Edge, but be sure to check your handbook.
Okay, so yeah, I've had this car for about nearly a year now. I think I got it in June, July last year, 2020, to replace my 318 E46, which was a bit iffy. There was a few smoking problems. It was kind of like a James Bond effect with the smoke out the back, except it wasn't intentional. So I got this as a replacement and it's due its first full service. So I thought I would give it a go. So without further ado, let's get the bonnet open and I'll kind of walk you through what the car's about. Yeah, it's an incredibly clean car for its age. This is a 2001, believe it or not, E46 M Sport. It's done 100,900 miles in its lifetime. I got it around 95,000, so I've actually done a fair few miles on it last year, despite lockdown and COVID, which is good. It's never failed an MOT, so I'm not going to be the first one to allow it to do that. As you can see, engine bay, fairly clean. Admittedly, I have done some cleaning myself, so it's not exactly like it came like this. But to be honest, the whole condition of the car as a whole has actually been fairly good. There are the obvious scratches, the age-related marks. For example, on the wing down here, you've got the typical E46 rust spots, which are very, very annoying. And to be honest, with how cheap these wings are, you might as well just replace them. They're not really worth repairing. Here, up at the top, you can see that I've currently got some duct tape here. The reason for that, if you step back slightly, is because the grills don't actually fit in correctly. I think someone at some point in the ownership has perhaps taken a screwdriver trying to get them out, and they've warped all of like the connector pins at the rear. So annoyingly, I've tried to get this back into shape, and I don't think it's going to be a case of me doing it. But honestly, with how pitted and stone chipped the front bonnet is, like from a distance it's okay. When you start getting up close, you notice all these imperfections. I might just replace the bonnet. So that's probably on the to-do list alongside the wing. The rest of the car though, it's actually pretty good, so I've been quite lucky. No mechanical errors, absolutely whatsoever. So I've been very, very lucky so far. Fingers crossed it stays that way. Well, aside a bodge job that I've done on the boot air intake over here. Mainly, I don't particularly want to take it off because it is actually stopping it from having an engine management light come on. But basically the boot's cracked, the air intake boot's cracked. And I put some duct tape over it to make sure that it doesn't have any sort of vacuum leaks.
So with all that out of the way, it was now time to start working on the car by first removing the air filter and replacing it with a brand new one.
Let's get to work, I think. Now, we're going to change the air filter first, mainly because ease of access, it's a little bit easier to get to. See if we can get you off now. Yep, there we go, lovely. And then just pop that in. There we go. I think there's one the other side as well. Ah, there's two the other side. There we go. cool. Actually, it's not, I mean, that's just obviously the cover, but to be honest, that's not too awful, you know? I wonder if that's got a date on it. Okay, so that's 2010, that's been in there. Really?
At least.
Oh yeah, I suppose there's a long shelf life on air filters, really, isn't there? Okay, interesting. I think this is actually maybe the same air filter, well, same manufacturer we're putting in, which is good.
Yeah,
Looks very similar. That's quite good. Okay, well that one's no longer needed. Well, hopefully no longer needed at least. All right, do you reckon we should try and clean that out? Actually, it probably doesn't need it, does it?
No,
I don't think so. Interesting. There's an entryway there. There's like a gap here. There's an entrance. I don't know if you can get that properly.
Not
like,
quite, no.
Like there. It leads to the front of the car. That's quite cool, actually. People were saying, oh, why don't you get like a, I don't know, a cone filter or something for it? I thought, well, to be honest, it's a daily, so there's no real point in getting like huge performance out of it. And to be honest, you can't always guarantee that the air is going to be cold going into those cones. So to be honest, this should be fine with the stock air filter, I reckon. This actually might be fairly easy for change. There we go. Oh, that makes a change. It's gone right. Does this surprise you, Jared, that things haven't broken yet?
Not with an air filter.
Yeah, but it is arse, you know? And then let's push you in, like so.
Don't duct tape it again.
Well, we'll have to get a replacement one of these eventually anyway. We should have really got it for this video, but I completely forgot that it was a problem. There's like a, it's not quite sealed. So I'm wondering if the air filter itself is slightly misaligned. No, it's still not. Oh, I see the problem. What a tit. There we go. What an absolute tit. One of the spring clips was caught in it. And that's done. Yep, all secure. Cool. That's going to be a bugger, isn't it? That one's fine. Let's see if we can pry this in. You're going to play ball? Probably not. It's probably another reason why I've got a little bit less airflow if that's not connecting properly. Yes, fantastic. Right, so that's that job done. First job of the day complete. Now, cabin filter. Now I believe it's literally as simple as undoing these three, and I think the panel should just lift off like so. That's good, that's actually a really good design. So we've got a brand new Bosch cabin filter. Basically what cabin filters do is they pretty much, wow, Jesus, I've just seen like the difference in the white. That one. I think this is a good job of replacing this.
I think cabin filter is the kind of thing that does not get changed often.
Probably not, no. I mean, it's quite clearly a big difference in colour. So hopefully this should mean that it'll filter out bad smells like, you know, petrol oil, as well as like, I think they help with allergies like pollen. Don't quote me on that, but I think they do. Whoa, that's really, that's yeah, that do.
It's nasty.
That's nasty. I don't know if it is. Ah, yeah, there we go. Cool, done. Lovely. And I can find it. Oh, that's going to need a new thing soon. 3, done. Okay, so next, do you want to do spark plugs or do you want to do oil?
I think let's do sparks.
Okay, yeah, because while it's on the ground, I think maybe spark plug's not a bad idea. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do, covers. I'm pretty sure. I think you can actually take both of these off, which is quite good. So we will need to get some sort of a screwdriver to pry these.
Does that just yank off by chance?
Yeah, so you put a screwdriver in and it pops out. So we've got 6. Let me quickly go get the spark plugs. Okay, so we've got 6 new NGK spark plugs. These are the quad point on the top. I'm pretty sure that's only done so that, oh, did it focus correctly?
There we go.
There you go. Pretty sure that's only done so that you've got like more chance of basically sparking. So we've got 6 of those, and they should, I'm pretty sure they come pre-gapped for these engines, so we don't have to do any sort of special gapping or have any tools for it. So that's a good thing, and we'll have to see if it fits to the car.
To gain access to the spark plugs, you need to take the engine covers off by using these little tabs here in order to get to the bolt.
It's very difficult to get that bottom one or the final one back there. There must be a way, an easier way than this, but because I'm wondering if this all comes off and you can access underneath, but I'm not sure. It doesn't feel very BMW-like to
What makes it awkward?
Yeah.
These have never seen a BMW Mini.
I wonder.
I feel like there's an easier way than actually taking the whole actual trim out.
Well, you say that, but maybe it is designed to so that you basically can get proper access to the rear. I'm not too sure. I mean, we'll find out from the comment section because someone will shout at us saying you absolute morons. Okay, so nice screwdriver. Oh, is it going to focus?
It's getting worse.
It's getting worse. Okay. Anyway, it's a hex screw, basically. It does look like it appears we can take this panel off. So I did think that there would be an easier way to get at that rear part, because I thought there's no way that BMW would make you sort of have to tuck your hands underneath here to get at the spark plugs. I may be wrong. We may be taking off the complete wrong part here, but it does seem logical that you take this off just to be able to get access to the spark plugs easier. Yeah, and to be honest, we can also clean this up while it's out, just to make sure it's get rid of any of sort of crap and debris. Sort of an odd angle to get things at. Things you do for the sake of the camera. I've already undone this because I'm pretty sure that if you're going to take this panel off, you need to take this out. To me, it makes sense for this to come off. Let's see if we can undo that. There we go. Happy days. There we go. Right, so that's off, that's off. There we go. Yep. It's definitely a case that we needed to take the extra panel off, which is good. It's a 10. Oh, brilliant. Okay. That makes things a bit easier.
Taking off the engine cover bolts was a very simple task and took no time at all to do, which is a nice change.
Did you think that the spark plugs were on the injector rail?
Ignore me. Yeah.
Did you seriously? So you had a go at me for like, oh yeah, we only need one side off. No, Mr. Hodges.
We still do only need one side off, just the wrong side. I'm technically correct.
You're not
taking the win.
You're not correct. Don't even try. Don't even try this. Okay, so apparently we need the 10mm again, and we need to get at these bolts right here. Because if you can maybe get in there, possibly, if it's going to focus. Yes, there we go. Cool. So you need to be taking off these bolts apparently. Now, we did actually check to make sure that if you need to disconnect the battery for this, because obviously there's an earthing point here, and the last thing that we wanted was obviously to get a shock off of this. So either the internet is right and we don't need to disconnect the battery, or the internet is wrong and we do and we're about to get a shock. So either way, it will be comedic. I wonder if the US and Euro spec cars are different, because the video we watched on how to do this very quickly before we started was a US car. So I'm wondering if the connections are slightly different for Europe versus US. Might have to check that, because obviously these bolts are what they took off in there and they just sort of slotted out, but I'm not sure, you know?
We've worked it out. The US spec stuff is wrong for the UK. So what the problem is that the US guys have a slightly different connector system and spark plug system where you pull out the connector and then there's 2 bolts either side of the engine. And that's how you remove it. Whereas the UK and Euro spec, I imagine, is this mechanism here flips up like this, and then you have to pull really hard. But the thing is, it didn't quite feel right. We thought that we were going to break it, but it turns out no. This is actually how you do the spark plug. So that's good to know. So this actually should make it a little bit easier, and I need to reapply that bolt just in case.
Right, so that makes it a lot easier. So it is a case that we just have to yank pretty hard, but they're really stuck in there. So this is what we were saying, is that it didn't feel quite right that we were pulling on them, because it actually feels like you're going to break it more than you are going to fix it. There we go. So that's another one down. So what we're doing is we're actually just laying them out in order here so we know exactly which one's for which. So come on, out. Oh, there we go. Only another 3 to go. This is going to be a tricky one. Because I think the further you get back towards the rear of the engine, the harder it's going to be. It does have to be. There we go. Go on, lad. Go on. Yes! Did you hit your head?
No, I hit my arm. Number 5.
Man, it's so much easier than working on the Porsche, which is really odd to say. Porsche, well, then again, the Porsche is just like rusted with 10 years of not being cared for, I think. Actually,
let's have a look.
That's not awful.
Ooh,
they do look like they're running a little bit.
They're a bit tired.
They're a bit tired, which is quite good that we've got replacements now. Wow, yeah, these are in pretty good nick. There's no real oil build up either. You know, it's actually really nice to have an E46 that isn't actually in too bad nick, because finding one that's in really good condition and been well maintained is difficult, because naturally with them being 6-cylinder rear wheel drive manual, they're very easy power, they're good fun, and a lot of time they get ragged about and not particularly cared for. So finding one that's in good condition is quite nice.
For the sake of time, we've sped up taking the spark plugs out the car. It was a fairly straightforward process aside the plugs towards the rear of the engine, which were a little more stubborn. However, with some persuasion, they came out.
Okay, so now we have our old spark plugs out. It's time to put our brand new, shiny, is it going to focus this time? Does it focus on that?
Yep, okay.
How about that?
Yay.
Hey, it's worked. So that's our brand new spark plugs. What we're going to do is we're going to work back to front, because that way we know that what's been done and what hasn't. Actually, I'll be honest with you, this has been actually quite a good and easy service. I know we haven't done the oil yet, so we're going to make sure, obviously, to get it onto the ramp, we need to start up the engine to make sure it works. If we run out of time, we'll do the oil another day. Maybe we'll come back and film that, because it's not particularly too much of an issue, because it is approaching like 4 o'clock now, and normally we leave around 5. So if we haven't got time, we'll do it another day, but for now, let's try and do as much as we can. What way is it going to go? That way. And just make it so that it's fairly tight. There we go. Lovely. Fingers crossed that is actually in straight. Yeah, it is. That's good. Okay, next one.
Well, now it was time to get the new plugs back into the engine. We decided to work from back to front, so the harder plugs were the first that went in, just for convenience really. So, let's fire up and see what happens.
I mean, it runs. It did sound a little bit laborious at the beginning there. I don't know if that's because they're brand new spark plugs or anything like that. And obviously we've got the new air filter. Maybe we haven't quite attached the box correctly. But there's no warnings on the dash, so that means that it's working. So I suppose it's okay. We'll have to see. There we go. So something is off. I wonder if we take that off and seal it with new duct tape and it would work.
I think you just need a new boot.
I mean, we need a new boot, but we obviously need to get it working so I can drive it home. So
Well, you'll be able to drive it like this.
It was time to get out the duct tape and take a stab at making the air intake boot behave itself with a bodge. Harder than it looks.
Is it gonna be a sensor? I reckon it will.
wait, we're not out of the woods yet. I mean, there's no engine management light. Let's have a rev. Yeah, immediately. Straight away, fix the problem. There we go.
Well, you bodged the problem.
Jared, we fixed the problem.
You fixed the problem with a bodge before, and then you've had to re-bodge the bodge.
It works, okay? It works.
Now our bodge was successful, we applied all the trim back to the engine and made sure it was all in place, ready for the oil change. Well, funny story about that.
Okay, so we're back. As you've noticed, the car has moved. We're now in a pit. Reason for that was because we thought we needed new clips for the under tray, as you can see here. However, we're idiots, and I'm saying we because it is myself and Jared working on the car, even though he's shaking behind the camera. We
didn't realise that the sump plug's actually easily accessible without taking the tray off. So, bit of an error on our part there, but part of learning. And because we didn't check, because we're morons. So, let's get on with the oil change. Is it going? No, I'm turning it right, aren't I? No.
You are. I'm staying safe. There's probably a reason why the sides of the pit are covered in oil. Hey.
There we go. it cometh. It cometh outeth. Actually, that's in not bad condition, you know.
You gonna give it a little taste? Oh no, did you actually?
Yeah, very good.
Liam,
Very
no.
good. Very good. Once it's drained, we're going to put our brand new Castrol oil in as well. But before we do that, we need to add the new oil filter, which apparently you do from the top, so that's good. Oh, listen to that drainage. Oh, proper drainage, that is.
ASMR.
This is going to take a while, so I think
Let's move over to the oil filter.
we'll move to the oil filter.
I cannot believe some absolute daft.
Does he look at me?
At BMW thought, yes, we know what we should do. We've had 36mm nut on the oil filter housing because of those Americans and their trucks that they like to work on. Yeah. When no one has 36mm available to them.
We've got 27s, the biggest, and then we found in the workshop, because this is like a truck workshop, we have a 38mm. But what the hell are we going to put that in?
Exactly. You could. Oh my word! The size of that. The things that you could do. Very. Yeah. Ooh. So now we've got to try and find something that can fit that. Great. So while I'm down here, taking the clips out of this and replacing them, Mr. Hodges.
Hello?
Are you going to focus? You going to focus? There we go. Mr. Hodges is currently doing the oil filter
With
with a giant, massive spanner.
giant spanners to fit the man.
So we might put the tripod up there so you can see what Jared is doing while I'm doing this.
Now, we have no clue who thought it'd be a great idea to make the size of the oil filter removal cap a 36mm, which I can't imagine many people have, but stranger things have happened. That being said though, once the oil filter was out of the car, it was a very easy process in replacing the old filter with a new one, which is quite nice because for once, something's going right that we're doing.
Okay, so moment of truth. Got our oil pipe, filter is in, under tray kind of done, put some plugs in. So now it's pretty much time to just fill it up with oil.
Now the final stage of our service, we topped up with 6.5 litres or 6.9 quarts worth of oil, and then it was ready to rock and roll.
Okay, so that's it for today's video. The oil service, oil filters, oil change, spark plugs, all that sort of good stuff, air filter, cabin filter, is done on the BMW E46. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like below. Also comment on what else you think we can do to these cars, and also any suggestions on content you think we should do on the channel. Once again, thank you to LUDEN Automotive for his very kind support with these projects. We would not be able to do it without you. Until next time, guys, take care. We'll catch you next time.